Professor G. This comment from Professor G is actually a reply to another person who was talking about how Dave would be leaving GameSack pretty soon. No, my guess is that Joe wants to take GameSack in a different direction, pushing Dave out of the way. Joe, as of late, has been associating with the Game Chasers and Wood. Joe probably wants to do more product reviews, unboxing, and all the same shuffled garbage these e-beggars do on a daily basis. Dave doesn't have to worry about the future of GameSack. He's got a job, kids, and a life. Joe, on the other hand, doesn't. Read the Patreon statement that was copied onto Reddit. Sad but exciting, citing new challenges to come. Retro doesn't sell anymore, and they've done everything there is to do. If I were Dave, I wouldn't want to be grouped in together with Joe, who blindly defended these e-beggars, Wood, more notably. He has absolutely no depression to speak of, and Joe defended him with the GameSack moniker. Then you have Joe being involved with the Game Chasers movie, which may take a toll on the GameSack product and possibly be left up to Dave, who has a 9-to-5 job. Pure speculation at this point, but only time will tell. Well, I would say that's some pretty good speculation. I don't know if I agree with all of it, but I do definitely agree that Joe seems to be a little different than Dave. Most notably, the fact that Joe can be seen with the Game Chasers, with Wood, and with Alpha Omega Sin. I remember the first time I saw a video with Wood and Alpha Omega Sin, they were actually with Joe. I didn't see Dave anywhere. That's kind of weird. I saw Joe there, but not Dave. You know, my guess is like, well, Dave's like, I'm not associating with them. But Joe, he might want to take the channel in a different direction. And the channel, is doing fine. It's doing great. A lot of people are worried that it's the end of GameSack. It's the end of the channel, How can you have GameSack without Dave? How can you have it without Joe, right? Well, I see how a lot of people, get attached to these people. I understand that. But think about this. Hear me out on this. When you go to a GameSack video, how much of that GameSack video, what percentage of it is actually Joe and Dave? And how much of it is actually gameplay? I know they're there talking over the gameplay. They switch spots. Joe talks about the game, then Dave talks about the game. But, take that out, and mostly it's gameplay. So couldn't you conceivably just, drop, any other gaming YouTuber that has a pretty good knowledge of video games and retro games into that spot? I know a lot of you don't agree, and you're like, it's not GameSack without Joe or Dave, but really, come on. You could probably, off the top of your head, think of people that maybe are a little more interesting or more entertaining, or maybe, have a more extensive knowledge of games, or maybe are a little better at, playing some of the games and the gameplay featured. That's what I'm saying here. It's not the end of the world, because even if the GameSack channel goes away, I could point to you to a lot of other different channels. Maybe they don't have the slick editing. Maybe they don't have all the cool things with the carts going in the systems and the sound effects. Like I said, that editing is top notch on that channel. But at the end of the day, think about why you go to those videos. And have you ever watched a lot of those videos back to back and you go, that's the same exact game they featured a couple weeks ago? And they'll even admit it. At some point, they're going to run out of retro games to feature. That's the thing about that. And maybe that's one reason, you say that they might want to change a direction, because, you can only talk about the same retro games, and you can only go to channels that talk about the same retro games so much. That library is only so big. So years and years and years to talk about the same exact games and going to other different channels where they talk about the same exact games too. You get, you can get like burned out from watching a lot of that stuff. So that's why a lot of these retro channels too, I think, are switching over to talking about the Switch. Also much more profitable to do stuff about the Switch there. Yeah, Professor G. Oh, yeah. Professor G, here's the thing about that comment. I'll tell you, like Joe told me, that comment was frightening. Frightening. You're frightening. Actually, that comment wasn't frightening. And my comment wasn't frightening there, Joe or Dave, whichever one of you left that comment to me weeks ago. Thank you, Professor G.